occupied with the challenges of the world. And generally, I begin my day with a prayer of gratitude. In the house, we have gratitude sheets so that you can write the things that you want to offer gratitude for. But even after I do that, I spend the majority of my day on the move until I put my head down to go to sleep. I'm just busy. Luke doesn't tell us that the other 9 were ungrateful or disobedient. They did exactly what Jesus told them to do. Go show yourselves to the priests and you will be made clean. They did it. They were faithful, they were responsible, they did what was required, and they were healed. So another thought occurred to me, that sometimes in the midst of being obedient, we might be moving so fast that we miss the miracle. The Samaritan, the one who not only was outside of society, but just outside of everything, on the margins. Samaritans were unclean, unliked. The Samaritan wasn't the one that Jesus came to save. The Samaritan is the one who gets it. The Samaritan is the one who stops. The Samaritan is the one who runs back shouting praises. And I'm sure, as good Episcopalians, the people were looking like, we don't do that. That's not how we praise. I'm sure he was waving his hands, and if we were in the southern states, we might say, oh, bless his heart. He's just so emotional. But you know what? I was remembering the book by the retired presiding Bishop Michael Curry about crazy Christians. Sometimes joy, just unfettered joy, looks silly, crazy, a little foolish. Moving through the world with an attitude of gratitude really might seem out of step with the world as the way it is. The Samaritan disrupts, he interrupts the flow. Everyone is rushing back to normal life. And the Samaritan realized there's nothing normal happening here. So he stops, turns back and says, the miracle is right here, right in front of me, and I have to stop. I have to interrupt my daily movement and recognize this miracle. That's what gratitude does. That's what it looks like. It interrupts, it disrupts, it slows us down long enough to notice that God is still standing right in front of us. And maybe that's what disciple looks like most frequently. Not just following all the right instructions, but learning how to stop. Learning how to turn around and say, wait, yes, God, I see you. In front of me, beside me, behind me. Yes, I see you. If we were to go back to our first reading from Jeremiah, we would remember that Jeremiah's people were in exile. They were stuck in a place they didn't want to be. They wanted to get back to Jerusalem, back to normal, back to how things used to be. Well, there are many times where I've wanted to go back to how things used to be. We know how that feels. The first time when I moved to Baltimore, I was very excited about moving to Baltimore until I got to Baltimore. And then I thought, I'm not so excited about being in Baltimore. I want to go back to Atlanta, back where I knew where things were, back where I had my friends. I want things to go back to the way they were. These days, I think to myself, I want to go back to 2016, back to when the air was full of possibility and hope, back to when the economy was more stable, when the world was being attentive to our collective efforts to save the earth. The church here at Epiphany, 2016, 2017, bustling, active with people. It would be great It'd be preferable to go back to the good old days when it felt like the ground was more solid. And God says through the prophet Jeremiah, you're not going back. Build houses, plant gardens, settle down. Seek the welfare of the city where I've sent you. In other words, stop waiting for the perfect conditions to live faithfully. Stop trying to go back. Stop holding your breath for the good old days. Be faithful where you are right now. I remember I would say to myself as I walked the streets of Baltimore, this was in the early days of living there, Glenna, God has asked you to bloom where you are planted. Bloom where you are planted. And that's what the Samaritan did. He didn't wait till everything was all put together. He didn't wait until the priest appeared to him. He didn't wait till it was all official. He turned in the middle of the road, ran back to where Jesus was, and said, "Thank you." Sometimes the most sacred places, the sacred spaces you'll meet God, maybe not in the temple or the church, the gudra. It's in that in-between space, right there on the road. That space between what was and what's next. And what does this tell us about God? Because we know that Jesus tells us these parables so that we can continue to grow and mature in our relationship with our God. Jesus tells us that all 10 were healed, even the ones that didn't come back. And that's just how generous God is. God doesn't heal us based on how well we perform, doesn't heal us based on our gratitude. It's not a reward for good manners. God just heals. One of my friends has a podcast, and this past week, she interviewed someone who just published a book. The person's name is Becca Pierce. You don't have to achieve to be loved. That's the name of the book. You don't have to achieve to be loved. The healing happens. But maybe here, when we are able to express gratitude, when we are able to see and name the miracle, then a fullness happens, a wholeness happens. Jesus says, your faith has made you well, and that word well means saved. Your faith has saved you, has made you whole, has brought you back to life. And we might wonder, okay, well, what does that mean for those of us who most days are living like the other 9? I think it means, among other things, that even when we get caught up in our own stuff, when we get caught up in traffic and obligations and the busyness of our time, grace still meets us where we are. Because that's who God is. The one who blesses us before we even remember to say thank you. The one who keeps showing up and never abandoning us, even when we are too busy trying to get our lives back in order. God is there. So maybe the call today is just to pause, to just stop, to turn, even for just a moment, an hour, and to recognize God and say, yes, you were here all along. I see you. I see you. I see you working in my life. And maybe that is the moment where we can find peace, see our grace, and experience joy. I mean, just imagine the scene as this Samaritan turns back. I bet he was just dancing and laughing and filled with joy. So he ran back to say thank you, arms wide open, voice loud, heart bursting in the fullness. Gratitude can do that. Gratitude can bring laughter to places that would otherwise be numb or silent. I think that's what Jeremiah the prophet is telling us. Plant seeds of joy where you are. Don't wait for things to get better. Allow the act of gratitude to be your guard against despair. Allow the act of gratitude to be your guard against despair. And so maybe we are like the other 9. Maybe I'm the only one that's like the other 9. It's okay. The good news is that it's never too late and you are never too far to turn back and say, thank you. It's never too late and you are never too far to notice and appreciate the ways that God is acting in the world. And maybe when we do that, maybe when we let go and turn around to say thanks, realistically, in order to run back to God, you got to take off that backpack of stuff. Otherwise, you just look funny. If you can throw your arms up wide and say thank you, it might feel as if a burden is falling off. When we slow down and turn around to offer thanksgiving, we might find ourselves dancing, laughing, singing, even off-key, singing to recognize that God's grace has already been found and embracing us. And we might find peace. We might rest in that peace, understanding, knowing, and integrating into our entire selves that our faith is making us whole. And so today I stand here and I offer gratitude for this community, the community that meets in the morning, for the community that meets on Sunday morning here, the community that meets generally on Sunday afternoons. It's a whole bunch of different people, the communities that meet throughout the week. I am grateful. This past week, I interacted with some of our space users throughout the course of the week. So we had some people who came in earlier in the week to do a performance, music performance. Street Sense is here. Street Sense is a Street Sense Media utilizes space here. And there's another group that meets regularly. There's the AA groups, the NA groups. They're in and out throughout the course of the week. And 3 times this week, 3 distinct separate times, 3 distinct separate groups said to me, "Oh, Reverend Glenna, we are so thankful that we are here at Epiphany and can do this here." And I said, "You're welcome," because you're welcome. I'm happy that you can come. I think that's my line. You're welcome. And I think the tone was not the correct one because they said, no. I really want you to know how thankful we are to be here. And so I had to stop and listen. And one person said, I come here, and every time I'm here, I can just feel community. And I thought, wow, tell me more. And they did. They said, I just like coming here because even when it's empty, I know the things that you all are doing. And I like the sense of community. They said, thank you. I am thankful for you. I'm filled with gratitude for the generosity of this community, the generosity of those who find the mission and ministry of Epiphany to be worth saving, worth investing in with your time and your money. I am thankful for your patience because I continue to grow. I am thankful for your faithfulness because you keep showing up. I am thankful for your intentionality. I am thankful for your feedback. I am thankful for your music and your voices. And I know that for some, this is out of your way, and you still come. I am thankful for the effort that it takes to get up and show up and be present. That is community. That is what makes this space and this place somewhere where people can come and find refuge and peace. That's what makes this space and this place someplace where you can come and find refuge and peace. I give thanks that the doors are open for those who are seeking to be healed and made whole in this space. Thanks be to God for all the things, for all the gifts, for all the grace. Amen.